The sky over Earth was clear, calm, and quiet. People went about their lives unaware of the eyes watching from the darkness of space. Far beyond the moon, something massive moved slowly, almost silently. It was a fleet. Thousands of ships, each larger than cities on Earth, glowing with strange colors that no human eyes had ever seen before. At first, the scientists at the International Space Station noticed it. Strange energy readings, impossible to ignore, appeared on every radar. Within hours, military satellites confirmed the unthinkable. A fleet of alien ships had entered the solar system. The world froze. Governments held emergency meetings. Social media exploded with speculation, fear, and panic. From the largest control room in Washington, D.C., General Harper stared at the main screen. "What do they want?" he muttered, his voice low. No one answered. Even the most experienced astronomers were silent, staring at the blinking red dots representing the alien ships. Then, a broadcast cut through every channel on Earth. It was not in any human language, but somehow everyone understood it. The voice was cold, metallic, and direct. "Humans of Earth, you are trespassing. You must obey the laws of the galaxy. Disobedience will be punished. Compliance is required." A shiver ran through the world. People whispered in fear. Scientists fumbled with translations, and governments scrambled to respond. Military forces prepared for war, but deep down, everyone knew they were facing an enemy far beyond anything humanity had ever imagined. But amidst the fear, a small group noticed something strange. The message, though powerful, seemed almost polite, almost like a teacher scolding a student rather than a conqueror threatening a civilization. Some experts called it a pattern in the alien voice, something that suggested the aliens were confident, even overconfident. On Earth, in a small command center under the mountains, Captain Elena Martinez watched the broadcast. Unlike the others, her face showed calm determination. She had studied alien technology, history, and diplomacy for years, and she noticed the same thing the scientists had noticed. The aliens assumed humans would panic, obey, and fail to think creatively. "They think we are weak," she said quietly to her second-in-command. "They have no idea what humans are capable of." The alien fleet did not move quickly. They hovered in the outer solar system like predators waiting for prey. Their ships were enormous, dark, and ominous. Each one pulsed with energy that made the surrounding space shimmer. Every time they fired a test beam into empty space, it sent tremors through satellites and space stations. Meanwhile, on Earth, the world tried to respond. Governments issued warnings, people stockpiled food and supplies, and militaries mobilized their best weapons. But every action felt small against such overwhelming power. The aliens were calm, observing everything but never attacking yet. It was as if they were testing humans, studying them, waiting for a mistake. Then came the demand. A message from the alien commander appeared on every screen at once. "One human representative must meet us in orbit, alone. Refusal will be considered hostility." The announcement caused chaos. Who could possibly face such beings alone? Who could survive their technology, their intelligence, their unknown power? The world debated, argued, and panicked, but Captain Elena Martinez already knew her answer. She would go. Not because she believed she could beat them, but because humans had something the aliens could never predict: courage, wit, and the unpredictable mind of a human being. As the sun set over Earth, the alien fleet remained above, glowing against the black void of space. It was a silent warning, a challenge, and a promise of things to come. Millions of eyes across the planet watched, afraid but fascinated. Humanity had never faced a test like this. And far above, in the cold silence of space, the aliens waited, confident that their laws, their power, and their technology would force humans to obey. They did not know that the lesson humanity would teach them would shake the galaxy to its core. The stage was set. The warning had been given. The game had begun. The shuttle hummed quietly as it slipped through the vacuum of space. Inside, Captain Elena Martinez sat alone, staring out at the endless black. Millions of eyes were watching from Earth, but up here, in the silence of orbit, it was just her and the unknown. The alien fleet loomed ahead like a living constellation, each ship massive, sharp, and pulsating with alien energy. Her hands rested lightly on the controls, though she barely needed them. The real challenge was not flying. Humans had learned to navigate space, but surviving the encounter. Every instinct told her to be cautious, to follow instructions, to obey. But Elena also knew something important. The aliens did not expect humans to fight with creativity, wit, and unpredictability. As she approached the flagship, a massive ship that blotted out the stars behind it, a beam of light suddenly enveloped the shuttle. Sensors went wild. The ship's surface shimmered, almost liquid in appearance, shifting and moving, as if it had a mind of its own. A voice echoed in the shuttle, metallic yet strangely musical. "Human, you are far from your world. Do you understand the consequences of disobedience?" Elena smiled faintly. "Loud and clear," she said calmly. Her voice was steady, almost casual, as if talking to a colleague rather than a being capable of destroying her entire planet. The hatch of the alien flagship opened. Elena's shuttle was pulled inside by a field that defied gravity. She floated gently into a vast chamber, the walls lined with strange glowing panels and moving glyphs that seemed alive. Aliens of every imaginable shape and color surrounded her, hovering silently. Some had multiple eyes, some had no eyes at all, and some seemed to exist partially out of phase with reality. At the center floated the alien commander. Its form was massive, composed of shifting light and metal, constantly changing shape. Its many appendages radiated energy that made the air, or what passed for air in that chamber, hum with power. The commander's voice, though calm, carried authority that could freeze the blood. "You come alone. You understand the risk?" "I do," Elena said. Her gaze was steady, never wavering, even as the energy around the commander pulsed stronger, like a heartbeat she could feel in her chest. The alien's tone shifted slightly, a flicker of curiosity passing through the metallic resonance. "Your species is bold. Why do you not tremble?" Elena leaned forward slightly. "Because humans do not tremble at threats they don't understand. We act. We adapt. And we never obey blindly." A silence followed. The commander floated higher as if considering this. Then it displayed a series of holograms, showing Earth being obliterated, cities burning, oceans boiling, entire populations vanishing. "Witness your future," it said. "Obey now, or all this will come to pass." Elena studied the images, her expression unreadable. But inside, she calculated possibilities. Every projection, every threat had a flaw. Humans had ways to turn the impossible into possible. She had already begun planning in her mind, using logic, psychology, and creativity to predict the aliens' next moves. Finally she spoke, calm but with an edge of defiance. "You assume that showing destruction will scare us. You assume we will obey. But humans, we learn, we innovate, we survive." The commander's many eyes, or whatever acted as eyes, narrowed. It tilted its form as if examining a puzzle it could not solve. "Your arrogance is fascinating. Your species is illogical, yet you persist. Why?" Elena's smile widened slightly. "Because unlike you, we do not need perfect logic to win. And we never ever underestimate ourselves." A ripple of tension filled the chamber. The aliens had expected fear, hesitation, or pleading. Instead, they found confidence, calmness, and boldness, a combination they had never encountered. Then the commander spoke a single word. "Interesting." It was both a warning and an acknowledgement. The first move had been made, but Elena knew the real game had only just begun. She had survived the first test, and now she had the chance to show humanity's true strength. Not through brute force, but through cleverness, unpredictability, and courage. As she floated in the alien chamber, Elena realized one thing clearly. The aliens had underestimated humans, and that mistake, she knew, could change the galaxy forever. Back on Earth, the world watched Elena's encounter unfold through satellite feeds and live transmissions. Panic had gripped governments, but something unexpected began to spread, a spark of hope. If one human could stand before the alien commander without fear, perhaps humanity was not as helpless as the galaxy assumed. In the command center beneath the mountains, scientists and engineers worked frantically. But this time it was different. They weren't just preparing defenses. They were thinking like humans always did, creatively, unpredictably, without rules. The aliens expected brute force or fear. Humans gave them neither. Dr. Ravi Patel, a brilliant engineer, stood over a holographic map of space. "Conventional weapons won't work," he said. "Their shields are adaptive. Their energy beams can destroy anything we have." He paused, staring at the shimmering alien fleet. "But they don't expect this." "What's that?" asked a young officer. "Improvisation," Ravi said. "We'll fight them in a way they can't predict. Not with firepower, but with minds. Drones, decoys, EMP bursts, and human intuition. They can't calculate that. They can't anticipate chaos the way we can." Within hours, the first human countermeasures were ready. Small, agile drones launched into orbit, invisible to the alien sensors until they were already in position. Artificial signals tricked the alien fleet into thinking Earth cities were different than they really were. EMP pulses disrupted minor systems, just enough to cause confusion without provoking full retaliation. Elena observed from her position on the alien flagship. She had anticipated human ingenuity. She knew the moment was coming when the aliens would realize that brute strength alone could not dominate humans. And it came sooner than she expected. The alien commander's voice echoed through the flagship. "They are adapting. How is this possible? Their actions are illogical. They are defying our calculations." Humans on Earth watched in awe as small victories appeared. A single drone dodged beams that should have vaporized it. Another caused a chain reaction in an alien energy node, forcing the enemy to retreat slightly. It wasn't much, but it was enough to shock the aliens. Enough to show that humans were not predictable prey. "Notice something," Elena said over the communication link. "They think they can control everything, but humans are not controllable. We improvise. We learn. And most importantly, we do not follow the rules the way they expect." The alien fleet struggled to respond. Their massive ships, powerful and terrifying, were being harassed by what they considered insignificant: tiny drones, clever countermeasures, and unexpected strategies. They had underestimated a fundamental truth. Humans thrive in chaos. For the first time, some alien commanders whispered among themselves in panic. Patterns they had relied on for thousands of cycles no longer worked. Their weapons, designed to crush enemies before they could think, were failing against beings who never fought by their rules. On Earth, civilians cheered quietly, realizing that humanity had turned fear into action. Soldiers worked with engineers, programmers with pilots. The world had never united like this before, yet the odds remained overwhelmingly against them. Still, humans had something else: courage, creativity, and unpredictability. Then came the boldest move of all. Elena, floating in the alien flagship, sent a transmission to the entire alien fleet. "Your power is impressive, but it is not absolute. We will not obey. We will not fear. You cannot calculate humans. You cannot control us. And if you try, you will see what we are capable of." The fleet froze. The message was simple, almost casual, but it carried a weight the aliens did not expect. The audacity, the confidence, the refusal to obey. It was unlike anything they had ever encountered. For the first time, the aliens felt uncertainty, a dangerous, unfamiliar feeling. Humans were not following their rules. Humans were not panicking. Humans were, in fact, beginning to fight back on their own terms. The commander, still massive and glowing, tilted its form, scanning Elena carefully. "Intriguing. Your species does not act as expected. They may be dangerous." Elena smiled slightly. Humans had shown their first sign of power, not through sheer force, but through unpredictability, intelligence, and courage. The galaxy had assumed humanity could be controlled, but that assumption had just begun to crumble. And as Earth watched the alien fleet twitch with uncertainty, one truth became clear. Humanity had already won the first battle, not by weapons, not by numbers, but by being entirely, beautifully human. The alien fleet pulsed silently in the void above Earth, their immense forms casting faint shadows across satellites and space stations. From the flagship, the commander observed every human move, analyzing every pattern with cold precision. It had believed itself untouchable, certain that fear and superior technology would force obedience. But humans were proving unpredictable. On Earth, humanity's clever countermeasures had begun to frustrate even the most confident aliens. Small drones disrupted communications, EMP pulses caused minor but crucial failures, and decoys confused sensors. Yet the aliens were not finished. They had a trick humans had never faced before: psychological warfare. Holographic projections appeared across Earth's skies, massive and terrifying. Cities burned in simulation, oceans boiled, and monuments crumbled in vivid detail. The aliens broadcast messages of doom, demanding compliance with chilling promises. Obey or witness your world's destruction. Millions of people froze in fear. The world's leaders panicked, unsure whether the holograms were real or another form of alien trickery. In the midst of chaos, Captain Elena Martinez remained calm. She stood in the alien flagship, observing the unfolding spectacle with a measured gaze. She had anticipated this move. The aliens assumed humans would see destruction and crumble, but they underestimated human adaptability and resolve. "They think fear will control us," Elena said softly, speaking to no one in particular. "They don't understand humans. We don't just survive, we adapt, and we learn fast." Using a combination of intelligence gathered from the aliens and Earth's advanced hacking teams, Elena initiated a counter-strategy. Small stealth satellites, previously invisible to alien scanners, moved into precise positions. Their task was simple yet audacious: infiltrate alien communications and disrupt coordination. As the holographic chaos played across Earth, the aliens struggled to maintain order in their fleet. Signals conflicted. Some ships acted against others. The human countermeasures had introduced unpredictability the aliens could not calculate. Each simulation of destruction appeared real, yet failed to provoke the expected obedience. On Earth, soldiers and engineers worked with frantic precision. They launched decoy spacecraft designed to appear larger than life, tricking alien sensors into targeting empty space. Drones performed daring maneuvers, zipping in and out of detection, sometimes directly under the nose of alien observation, mocking their assumptions of human limitation. The alien commander's voice resonated across the flagship, tense for the first time. Why? Why do they not submit? Their behavior is illogical. Adaptation exceeds calculated limits. They defy all prediction. Elena smiled slightly. She knew exactly why. Humans did not need to understand every detail to succeed. They thrived in chaos, relied on instinct, and used creativity where logic failed. No alien algorithm could predict human intuition, and this intuition was now a weapon against them. In orbit, the commander decided to escalate further. A massive energy weapon, the largest in the fleet, charged slowly, aimed directly at Earth. It could have leveled entire continents in seconds. The humans, Elena knew, were counting on this escalation to push the aliens into a predictable pattern, but she had no intention of letting them see her moves. Instead of panic, humans responded with innovation. Stealth satellites created interference fields, masking Earth from alien sensors. Drones guided electromagnetic pulses to precisely weaken the weapon's charging sequence. Humans did not attack with brute force. They exploited gaps, flaws, and assumptions. Every move was unexpected, every response unpredictable. The aliens watched in shock as the ultimate weapon faltered. Calculations that should have guaranteed success failed repeatedly. Confusion rippled through the fleet. The humans had turned their greatest strength, their intelligence, creativity, and unpredictability, against the aliens' deadliest technology. Elena's calm voice echoed in the flagship. "Your simulations and rules do not apply here. Humans act on instinct, courage, and wit. You cannot control us, and you cannot predict us." For the first time, the commander's form flickered with uncertainty. It had encountered thousands of civilizations, but none had reacted like this. Humans were not following fear. They were thriving in the challenge, using the aliens' own power against them. The galaxy, observing from afar through scattered probes and distant eyes, began to notice something remarkable. Earth was no longer the weak, insignificant planet it had once been. It was a force of innovation and resilience, a species that refused to obey. And as the massive weapon faltered and the alien fleet began to hesitate, one truth became undeniable. Humanity was not just surviving. Humanity was teaching the aliens a lesson they had never expected. The alien fleet hovered above Earth like a living storm, their massive ships glowing ominously, waiting for humans to break. Their ultimate weapon had faltered, but they were far from defeated. The alien commander's many forms flickered with frustration. "They defy all expectations, they are unpredictable, dangerous," it hissed, voice vibrating through the void. On Earth, a quiet determination settled over the command centers, laboratories, and military outposts. Humanity had survived the first onslaught. They had adapted to the alien psychological warfare. Now, it was time to strike. Not with overwhelming force, but with intelligence, audacity, and ingenuity. Captain Elena Martinez floated inside the alien flagship, her calm voice reaching Earth's strategic command. "It's time to show them what humans do best," she said. "We will fight on our terms, in ways they cannot calculate." Dr. Ravi Patel activated the final stage of their plan, the human initiative. It was bold, risky, and the very kind of unpredictability that alien algorithms could never anticipate. Tiny, unassuming satellites, designed to appear like nothing more than space debris, moved into precise positions above each alien ship. Hidden within were electromagnetic pulses, computer viruses, and miniature drones, all capable of sabotaging alien systems without triggering a full-scale counterattack. "Once we start, there is no turning back," Ravi warned. "Every move must be coordinated, every human action counts." Soldiers, scientists, pilots, and engineers across Earth held their breath. Humanity had never worked in such perfect unison, and the odds were still terrifying. But they had something the aliens could never predict: courage and creative thinking, fused into a single, unstoppable force. Elena initiated the first step. Tiny drones zipped past alien shields, invisible until too late. They tapped into communication nodes, sending false orders and redirecting the alien fleet. Some ships fired at shadows, wasting precious energy. Others collided in confusion. Chaos spread faster than any human weapon could have created. Then came the second step. A human fleet of conventional ships, small and nimble, struck from unexpected angles. Their attacks were not meant to destroy, only to force the aliens to react, overcomplicate, and falter. Every maneuver was calculated not for power, but for disruption. Across Earth, control rooms erupted with quiet excitement. The aliens were falling for the oldest trick in the human playbook: misdirection. They were strong, intelligent, terrifying, but they were not prepared for humans who could turn chaos into an advantage. The alien commander floated in shock, pulsing brighter with anger and confusion. How can they anticipate on our every move? Their actions make no sense." Elena smiled faintly. "You expected fear. You expected compliance. You didn't expect ingenuity, adaptability, and courage. You forgot one thing. Humans do not fight like anyone else in the galaxy." The final stage began. Miniature drones infiltrated the alien flagship, linking to the energy grid that powered the massive weapon aimed at Earth. In seconds, the weapon's charging sequence reversed, draining energy back into the alien fleet. Systems overloaded. Ships staggered. The ultimate weapon, a symbol of alien power, was rendered useless by humans who did not follow rules, only intuition and clever planning. For a brief moment, silence filled space. The galaxy seemed to pause, observing this astonishing display. A planet that had once seemed insignificant had outsmarted a superior alien civilization. Elena's voice echoed across the flagship. "Your power is vast, but you assumed humans would fear. We do not fear. We improvise. We adapt. We survive. You underestimated us. And that was your mistake." The alien fleet began to retreat, not in surrender but in disbelief. Their calculations had failed. Their ultimate weapon had been neutralized. And most importantly, They had learned that humans could never be controlled. Back on Earth, people stared at the sky, the alien ships slowly disappearing into the darkness. Relief, awe, and pride swept across the planet. Humanity had faced the impossible and had survived, not by strength alone, but by courage, creativity, and cunning. The galaxy had watched, and for the first time every species would remember, humans are unpredictable. Humans are clever. Humans do not obey. Elena stood in the empty chamber of the alien flagship, alone but victorious. She looked out at the fading fleet and whispered almost to herself, "You tried to scare us? That's adorable." The alien fleet vanished into the dark void of space, leaving Earth alone once more. Silence settled over the planet, but it was not the silence of fear. It was the quiet of triumph. Humanity had survived an encounter that the galaxy had assumed would end in annihilation. They had faced the impossible and turned it into a victory. Captain Elena Martinez floated in the flagship, now eerily empty. The systems hummed faintly, most still functioning despite the sabotage. She studied the alien architecture, the glowing panels and shifting walls, marveling at the technology. Yet she felt no awe for fear, only for understanding. Humans did not need to fear. They needed to think, to act, and to remain unpredictable. That had been their greatest weapon. On Earth, the world erupted in cautious celebration. Cities that had braced for destruction now witnessed the impossible. Humans had outsmarted a civilization thousands of years older and far more advanced. Leaders, scientists, soldiers, and civilians alike shared a rare moment of unity. Humanity had survived by doing what no other species could, defying expectations, embracing ingenuity, and acting without fear. Across the galaxy, observers recorded the events in disbelief. Alien probes relayed messages back to distant civilizations. One transmission, sent in a code meant to impress even the most sophisticated races, simply said, "These humans, they cannot be predicted. They cannot be controlled. They are dangerous." The words spread like wildfire. What had been a planet of minor interest was now a force that could not be ignored. Species that had once dismissed humanity as primitive paused to reconsider. Humanity's reputation shifted overnight, from a fragile, unremarkable species to a cunning, fearless, and resilient force in the galaxy. Back on the alien flagship, Elena walked through the chambers examining their advanced systems. She thought about the arrogance of the alien commander. It had believed that fear and power would ensure obedience. It had assumed humans would follow rules, submit to authority, and be predictable. But humans were not built that way. Humanity thrived on unpredictability, improvisation, and audacity. That was what had turned the tide. In orbit above Earth, the alien commander convened a council of its peers. For the first time in recorded history, they admitted uncertainty. "We misjudged them. They are not simple. They are chaotic, yet brilliant. They adapt. They survive. They do not obey. They defy all logic." Elena transmitted a final message to the alien fleet before it disappeared completely. Her words were calm, confident, almost playful. "You tried to scare us. You tried to force us to obey, and you failed. That was adorable." The galaxy would remember that phrase for cycles to come. Humans had not just survived, they had sent a message. They were clever, they were fearless, and they would not be intimidated. Any civilization that attempted to impose order on Earth would now know the cost of underestimating humanity. On the surface, life began to return to normal, though nothing would ever be the same. Humanity had seen the vastness of space, the power of alien civilizations, and the limits of fear. Yet they had also discovered something greater, the strength of courage, creativity, and unity. Elena stood on the observation deck of a space station, looking at Earth glowing beneath her. She reflected on the events of the past days, the warnings, the tests, the ultimate confrontation. Humans had not fought with weapons alone. They had fought with their minds, their hearts, and their unpredictability. That was a victory no alien weapon could ever take away. And as the stars shimmered in the distance, a new reputation spread across the galaxy. Humanity was no longer a species to ignore or fearlessly challenge. They were a force unlike any other. Clever, resourceful, and unbowed, humanity had earned a place among the great players of the stars. Elena whispered one final time, almost to herself, "We are humans. We never obey, and we never underestimate ourselves. Let the galaxy remember that." The shock to the galaxy was complete. Earth had survived. Humanity had won. And from this day forward, the universe would never look at humans the same way again.